Teresa Lisum here on this week's episode of Decoding Your Superpowers. My friend and fellow coach, Linda Karshner, is not here again today, so I'm going it alone, which saddens me because being a heavy relationship builder, I prefer to do things in collaboration, in partnership with others. That's where I am most energized, I'm most creative, I am most productive, and my best self when I am in a group. Again, I'll say collaboration with others. So it may not be as good as when she's here, but that's okay. I decided to do it alone today. So I wanted to talk about six of my strengths. They fall into a certain category, and I was so thrilled when I learned about these strengths and what was happening behind the scenes. It really, really helped me in my relationships, especially that with my husband, because I was always being triggered and frustrated because I would come into situations with expectations. And when those expectations were not met, I would get stressed, frustrated, irritated, noticeably upset. Or I wouldn't verbalize it outward, but I would just stuff it down inward. And when I learned about these these six strengths of mine, then things started to make sense. It was just a real insight for me to understand what was going on. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit and then share what those six strengths, those six superpowers of mine are, and how they play out for me. So these strengths represent deeply held beliefs and values that I've created, I've learned, I've earned over my lifetime. And they shape my actions and my decisions and my interactions. And so I come into a relationship, I come into a project, I come into a room, I come into a situation with these expectations, these values that have been shaped by my past for whatever reason. I don't try to figure out how I attain those values and those expectations, but they're personal to me, they're subjective to me. And when those expectations, those rules are violated, then it triggers me. I become irritated, I become stressed. Now, this is the funny thing, which I found comical when I had the realization. I'm triggered by the expectations not being met, but I never shared my expectations with anybody. I never communicated to those around me what my values and what my expectations were in that moment, in that situation. But yet I was getting mad and frustrated because nobody was meeting my expectations, even though I did not communicate them out to the world. They were in my head. So I was taking it out on those people around me for something that was in my head that I did not verbalize. So you got to laugh about that. I mean, come on, that's just ridiculous and silly when you really think about it. Like, why would I get mad at somebody for not understanding what I thought should happen and what my expectations were? They don't know. They're just doing their thing. And then what right do I have to get mad at them because they're not aligning with my expectations? I hope you're hearing the absurdity of that. When you think about it and you have that realization, it's like, that is just stupid. That is just ridiculous. Why am I even doing that? So I had to realize that if I want people to understand my rules, meet some of my expectations, I needed to communicate. I needed to verbalize and share what's going on in my head. So if you are being triggered and frustrated by somebody else, just think possibly could it be because things are not being communicated clearly enough for those others to align or compromise with you. Just saying, just throwing it out there. To me, it was a real impactful realization. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Let me see, there was something else I wanted to share here. Just how much stress can be eliminated if we communicate better, if I communicate better. I'm going to talk about myself. If I tell others what's in my head, and if they don't, align with those expectations, okay. Again, we have to come to a compromise and figure out how we can both win in that situation. We can both be happy. But I have no right to be mad at them for something they didn't know about. So, of course, this whole strengths concept, the whole understanding your superpowers is all about knowing yourself better, feeling more confident, giving yourself words and a new understanding so you can communicate to other people in a better way, which in turn is going to create stronger relationships, which is what we all want. We all want stronger, better relationships in our lives, don't we? At least I do. So let me share some of my strengths with you that are based on values and shoulds and expectations. One of them is my positivity. I need to focus on positive aspects of situations, of people, and maintain my optimism and my enthusiasm. Like, that's a must for me. That's an expectation for me. Things must be fun and uplifting. That's how I interact with people. That's who I choose to bring into my life and connect with. Is their positive energy, their light energy, their uplifting energy. Does that mean I can't connect with people that are a little bit more somber? I can, and we can still have a strong relationship, but my preference is somebody who's positive and uplifting and fun and enthusiastic themselves, because that's how I want it to be. So it's important for me to understand that about myself, that that's who I want to connect with. So if I'm in a relationship that doesn't honor that, then maybe I need to reevaluate that relationship. One of my other strengths is people must be cheered and encouraged. I'm a big believer in encouraging others. I can see improvement, small improvement in others. I like to be their cheerleader. That's important to me. That helps me feel fulfilled because I'm cheering on somebody else, helping them move closer to their success, to their goal. So if I'm around somebody who is pessimistic and a complainer and is not encouraging, then I probably are going to sense some frustration. And if I'm not being encouraging, then I'm disappointing myself. Another one of my strengths is the understanding of this one is that I need cooperation. I need minimal conflict. I need, a nice, stable environment to feel at peace. I need to see a flow taking place. Like when I plan events, I just did a giggle gathering that I have once a month. When I plan that, I'm really well aware of the flow. I go through it a couple of times, and if something doesn't feel like it's in the right place, I will move it someplace else so that it has a nice flow to me and hopefully to others. So I want to honor that flow. And if there's some place, some situation where I'm at and the flow is off and things seem disjointed and out of whack, then that could be frustrating for me. And I will probably see it in a whole and think like, oh, I would have done this a little bit differently. If they just changed this around, if they just flip-flop this, then things would be a lot smoother and a lot flowier. So that's important for me to feel good in a situation. And then the minimal conflict and cooperation, yes, that's how I move through life. I don't want a lot of confrontation. I don't like conflict. And I have to honor that within myself so that I don't get stressed and irritated at things. I have to be very careful experiencing conflict even in others. So I'm very mindful of that. I don't want to see conflict in others. Would I try to help minimize and soothe that conflict? Probably in some way. Or I would just step away from it. That's again, I'm honoring my own self. I need time for contemplation, reflection, quiet time, time to um, listen deeply to podcasts or listen to books, audiobooks, or read something. It's like an intellectual exploration. I need time for that. I enjoy that. I look forward to that. It helps me recharge and gain insights that I can share with others. So it's important that I schedule downtime, quiet time into my days. And I love discussing, deep concepts. That is just the delight of me for me, when I'm in a relationship with somebody else. And if they can't deeply talk about things, then it saddens me and I may not interact with them as much. So these are just several of my lineup of six, that once I understood them, I'm able to honor them and lean into them more and give myself the opportunity to experience these. So it's the whole self-awareness, awareness that this is who I am, no judgment, nothing to be ashamed of. This is my authentic self. And it helps me be a better person. It helps me be in a relationship better, helps me communicate better. If I'm in a group of people for a long period of time, I love that. I enjoy that. But there'll be a point where it's too much for me and I have to step back. I have to get to that quiet, peaceful time where I need to, recharge my batteries, so to speak. So this is all important to me personally to know this about myself so that I can be the best version of myself and present that best version out into the world. So if you want to explore who you are, how you can be the best version of yourself, how you can learn what to lean into and what to back away from, and maybe why you're frustrated in certain situations, and how you can improve your relationships, please connect with me. I'd be happy, I'd be delighted to walk you through. You do need your strengths lineup, your superpower lineups. And once I have that report, that result in front of me, then we can really dig in and really get deep into what's happening for you and give you better clarity on who you are and how you're showing up in the world and how you think. So I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, reach out to me personally, and let's chat. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for listening in today. Linda, hope to see you next time. Miss you, girl. And thank you so much for listening in. We'll see you the next time.